Spurs go to Chelsea with just the slenderest of advantages. But will the news today that Dele Alli will be out until March potentially tip the scales back the other way? Stuart, bear in mind they already don't have Kane, as we know, nor Son, now Dele Alli too.
Dembele just been sold as well, another option. I think prior to the Kane injury, the Alli injury, I'm thinking it's set up now for Tottenham on the counter-attack, 1-up. Fantastic for them. I think this has evened this tie out brilliantly. I think it's going to be a wonderful game. I would say it's just in Chelsea's favour, but they've still got to go out and win the game, and they're finding goals hard to come by, you know. If Higuain walks through the door and is fit and available, that will give them a big lift. But at this moment in time, they're not clicking in front of goal.
Staying with Spurs for the moment, Liam, what do you make? I mean, we saw against one of your old clubs, Fulham, on Sunday, they went with Llorente, who, it has to be said, he's desperately short of confidence.
Yeah. Got
himself in a couple of positions. It's just not happening for him at the moment. What do you think Mauricio Pochettino will do? Just put him back out there?
I think you have to. I think Tottenham's squad at the moment says you have to stick with him. And that's why last week we were talking about Harry Kane, and now Dele Alli being out. They have to bring someone in this window if they want to achieve a trophy or stay in around that top four. Manchester United are coming hot on the rails. Chelsea and Arsenal, yes, they're going through a difficult moment, but they'll be up there at the end. I think for their aspirations, they need to bring someone in. And at the moment, I don't see any other option than sticking with Llorente and trying to get him on form. But just as worrying as that was their defensive performance at Fulham in the first half. Davinson Sanchez was out of sorts. Fulham could have scored 3 or 4 goals. And if you haven't got your goal scorer at one end, you need to keep the back door shut. And at the moment, I think that would be a worry for Mauricio going into such a huge game on Thursday.
Which way do you see it going on that basis?
I think it depends on what Sarri does. I think he's gone with Hazard in this false 9 position. And the thing is, because they play 4-3-3, they get into so many great crossing opportunities. Even against Arsenal, they got into so many great crossing opportunities. They only end up with Hazard and Kante in the box. Now, for me, Giroud sat on the bench, and it gets to a point where you can't be so precise. You know, Arsenal interestingly sat up with a diamond against Chelsea, blocked off the middle of the pitch. Tottenham did the same in their 1-0 victory the week before. Teams are starting to work out, if Hazard's playing as a false 9, block that space for him to operate him, force him wide, and then they can't get crosses in the box. There's no one on the end of them.
You were at the game, Stuart, after which it's well known now that Maurizio Sarri said he couldn't motivate this group of players, and he questioned their mentality. Did you see any signs of that in the game itself?
No, I've got to give Arsenal credit. I thought they come out the box and were brilliant. I saw Arsenal at West Ham the week before and they were awful, I've got to say. They come out a week later and they were fantastic from the first moment. But I've got to say, I questioned, when he made the statement and we got it sort of in the press conference just afterwards, I thought to myself, well, who's he talking about? And I went through the list of players through the Chelsea lineup and I couldn't name one player I looked at and thought, he's not given his lot today. I think they did. I think they give their lot. It's just, I don't think the tactical lineup that they had without that centre forward helps the team in any way, shape or form. I think they're a little bit unfortunate on occasion, but I'm not sure it was a very helpful statement from the manager.
What damage do you think it potentially could do?
Well, the biggest problem you've got is your golden goose, and the golden goose is Hazard. And Chelsea as a football club cannot afford to lose him, to leave the club, and certainly his mentality. I think every game he's at it to the full extent. And even you look at him with his ability and his talent, sometimes I look at him and think, wow, you're a genuine kid. Because with the frustration that, you know, when you're the best kid in the playground and the others let you down a little bit, it's easy to down tools. I don't think he ever does. I think he keeps battling away for the team. And you've got to keep him on side at the club, and that's the most important thing, keeping him happy at the club.
I mean, everybody has an ego. Often even more successful people have bigger egos. There's an awful lot of medals and trophies in that Chelsea dressing room, and there's none in Sarri's trophy cabinet. How do you think they'll have taken to his comments? Because he's questioning their desire. He's questioning their motivation.
It's a strange comment to make. What I would say is when Sarri first came in, they were outstanding for the first part of the season. They went a long time unbeaten. They were playing in a way that everybody enjoyed. Jorginho was getting a lot of joy being that spare man in the 4-3-3. I think a lot of their problems at the moment are actually tactical. If I look at the last two games, Tottenham and Arsenal both set up with diamonds. Ramsey was outstanding from a defensive point of view. He just blocked Jorginho's space. Jorginho's had the most touches in the league. He's been getting Chelsea ticking throughout the season. All of a sudden, they stop the supply line and everything else breaks down around it. So to question the motivation of such top players, it doesn't add up to me. I think there's more to it than that. For me, it's getting Jorginho free again to be able to operate and play balls between the lines, and it's finding the best position for Hazard. Now they've gone with Higuain. That means that only one place Hazard's going to play in a 4-3-3, and that's off one of the sides.
We know where you stand on Jorginho. We've had a tweet in. Stuart, what has Jorginho really brought to Chelsea, and do you think he's been a good signing? So, some questions out there?
Yeah, I think early season he was very good. He's fresh to the league. The rest of the teams hadn't really worked him out a little bit. Then all of a sudden you see Dele Alli man-marking him out of possession. Various other players, Everton went there and done a similar type of thing. He's just being worked out. That's the bottom line. And you've got to change that system in some way, shape or form, you know, rotate him and Kante, find a different way. I just think they've been found out tactically a little bit.
I'm told that for Higuain to play, he's going to arrive by midday tomorrow, then he could play. But really could, I know he's an experienced player, could he walk straight into a team and perform?
I think when things like that happen, you're looking at him off the bench. I think at best, I don't think, when someone's signing for a new club, sometimes it works when you throw them straight in, but I don't think it's realistic. I think he'd want to feel his way into the game, get a feel for the stadium, and if they really do need a goal, what a handy player. He's scored goals. So he's not had a great time at AC Milan, but he's been an outstanding player at Napoli, and he's a goal scorer and someone who is fantastic in the box, and I think that's something that Chelsea have been missing, with Morata being out of form, not seeming happy, and he doesn't seem to really put faith in Giroud either.
What's this semi-final going to come down to? What's going to decide it?
I would say potentially who takes their half chances. Very simplistic, but that is often the way. I go back to the game at the weekend. Pedro went through with the goalkeeper, lobbed him. It goes six inches one side of the post instead of 6 inches the other. That makes it 1-1. Arsenal go up the other end, get the second and win the game. It's those defining moments in the game that you've got to deliver. And probably from a tactical point of view, as Liam mentioned earlier, does Sarri change his tact? Tottenham have snuffed them out on a couple of occasions now, getting Jorginho out the game. They can't get fluent with their passing. You know, does he change and go down a slightly different route for this game, or is he going to stay stubborn and do exactly as he's been doing?
I mean, it feels as though there's so much water gone under the bridge since the first game. In many ways, I mean, obviously Kane's not playing, but is it almost irrelevant what happened in the first game going into this?
Yeah, apart from the scoreline. Yeah, no, it is. It feels like a long time ago. There's been so much happening at both football clubs, but again, it's going to be the atmosphere. If I was to pick a team now to go through, I'd still go with Tottenham. I think I don't like the signals coming out in terms of the psychological aspect of Chelsea at the moment. I don't think things are right there behind the scenes. And yes, Tottenham are missing players, but all of those players at the moment are playing for Pochettino, and they have that one goal lead, and Chelsea find it difficult to score goals at the moment.
I mean, going back to Sarri's statement, I know it was a couple of days ago now, but it seems extraordinary to me. It's either a extremely well thought out, calculated public message, or it's a big mistake.
Yeah, and I think we'll know a bit more come the start of the game Thursday evening. As I say, what are the defining things that are going to change this game? Probably the mentality of the squad and how that statement that he's put out there is going to affect his players.
But having said that, though, players want to get to finals. They want to win. They're not. It's not as though they're going to down tools because they're not too happy with the manager. So would it really affect their performance, even if they're a bit disgruntled?
Well, let's have a look at Manchester United, shall we? Over 2 months ago, I went to see him at Southampton, and I'm seeing a different side to the one I'm seeing now. That was player power, in my opinion, that decided to sort of near enough down tools. If you look at the stats about how much maybe one or two of their key players were doing hard yardage, you know, sprint stats, I bet they'd all dropped off at that stage and they've gone right up again.
I mean, both managers will be desperate to get rid of that moniker, you've never won a trophy.
Exactly. there's a certain manager who left Man United who keeps talking about that at the moment, about how important it is to have wins, to have trophies, and I'm sure Pochettino and Sarri will want to do that. So it's a huge game for them. I think it's a bigger game for Sarri. I think now he's going through his first difficult period at Chelsea, and I didn't like the noises coming out of that press conference when the pressure's on. It'll be really interesting to see them at home expected to go and attack and get goals, how they're going to go about that.